We hear the word cybersecurity all the time, right? But what happens when the job isn't just protecting a company's bottom line, but defending an entire nation? It turns out that single question opens up two totally different worlds of digital protection. Yeah, that one question is really the key to all of this. Because depending on your answer, well, it changes everything. We're talking about the scale of the whole operation, the mindset of the people on the ground, even the mission itself. It's the fundamental split between corporate security and national defense. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got corporate cybersecurity. This is the world most of us are familiar with, right? It's all about protecting a company's private stuff. But on the other side, you have national cyber defense. And that's a whole different ballgame. It's high stakes, almost military-like, all about keeping an entire country safe. So the first and honestly the most mind-blowing difference between these two is just the sheer scale. We're not talking about a small step up. It's a leap in size so massive, it completely changes the rules of the game. Think about it. A company, and this makes perfect sense, is focused on its own world. Its networks, its servers, its data. But a nation's mission, it's just orders of magnitude bigger. It's not just about keeping data safe anymore. It's about protecting every single thing that lets a country actually function day to day. And, this goes way beyond a few server racks in a data center. We are talking about the actual physical stuff that we all rely on every single day. The electrical grid keeping our lights on, the plants that make our water safe to drink, the entire financial system. An attack on that's not just a data breach. That is a full-blown national crisis waiting to happen. So when the stakes are that high, and the scale is that massive, it naturally forces a huge shift in mindset. You just can't use the same playbook when you're defending a country that you'd use for a company. It just doesn't work. So in the corporate world, the traditional goal is all about prevention. Build the walls as high as you can to keep the bad guys out. Simple enough. But at the national level, the entire philosophy flips to one of resilience. The core assumption is that attackers are going to get in. It's inevitable. So your job isn't to stop them at the gate, it's to endure the hit, contain the damage, and keep everything running. And that completely changes the goal. Suddenly, it's not just about stopping a breach. The new #1 priority is cutting down an attacker's dwell time. That's a fancy term for how long they can sneak around inside your systems without you knowing. And above all else, you have to make sure critical services keep running, no matter what. The mission just has to continue. Yeah, and this always-on operational mindset is, well, it's literally nonstop. We're talking about teams working in shifts, around the clock, 24/7. Because, national threats don't exactly punch out at 5 or take weekends off. It is a state of constant, relentless vigilance. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. We're starting to see these military-grade, state-level defense tactics make their way into the private sector. And it's completely changing the game for how the biggest companies out there protect themselves. What this is a huge shift from just passively defending to proactively engaging the enemy. So instead of just sitting back and waiting for an alarm to go off, it becomes this constant intelligence-driven cycle. You're gathering intel on who might attack you, you're profiling exactly how they operate, you're building specific defenses against them, and then, this is the cool part, you actively go hunting for them inside your own networks. This whole proactive mindset gave birth to these really powerful exercises like red teaming. The concept is, well, it's simple, but it's absolutely brilliant. You basically create your own internal bad guy team and tell them to act exactly like a known enemy. It's the ultimate stress test, right? It lets you find all your weak spots before the real attackers get a chance to. And you can totally see this trend of ideas moving from the battlefield right into the boardroom. Things like setting up honeypots, which are basically digital traps to lure attackers in, or using real-time forensics to track an attack as it's happening. I mean, all these techniques were perfected in a military setting, and now they're becoming the new standard for serious corporate security. But when you boil it all down, maybe the biggest lesson here isn't about the tech or the tactics at all. It's about something much more fundamental. It's about perspective. It's about actually understanding the mission you're trying to achieve. There's this great story from our source material about a security pro who started in the military. He said that early on, he honestly thought his superiors were the idiots because they just didn't get the technical details of his job. But later, he had this big realization. He was the one missing the point. He was so focused on the tech, he didn't even understand the bigger strategic goals they were fighting for.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? The best, most effective defense, doesn't matter if you're protecting a small company or a whole country, comes from taking a step back from the keyboard and grasping that bigger picture. You have to ask, what's the real world problem I'm actually trying to solve here?
So, this all leaves us with one last, pretty big question to think about. As these cyber threats get more and more advanced, targeting everyone from the corner store to our national infrastructure, is that line between protecting a business and defending a nation starting to get a little blurry? I mean, will every company eventually need to start thinking like a country?